Ladies and gentlemen, this Red Gaming Tip video we're going to be discussing Nintendo and their claims of ownership of videos on YouTube which features their games. Now, in case you're not 100% familiar with how YouTube works in terms of copyright and so forth, I'll briefly go into it. The first would be a copyright strike. Now, I'll give you a simple example of that. Let's say that on my channel I was to upload an episode of Lost or a movie or that I don't own. For example, I was to upload, I don't know, Iron Man 2 or something like that. I don't own those permissions, therefore I could be issued either a copyright strike. Depending on the severity of that, you can get either up to 3 strikes, or you may have your account instantly terminated. And there is also what is known as a Content ID match. Now, Content ID match is basically you are placing content that someone else owns, but they don't mind you having that content up, but they are going to make revenue from it. In other words, that ad revenue, rather than going to the YouTube channel's account, goes to the owner's account, or the claimed owner's account anyway. Okay, simple enough, right? Now in this case, Nintendo are doing the latter. In other words, they're using the Content ID match. They are basically doing this on prolific YouTubers who do, well, Let's Plays. So, I'm actually really against this. Now, as you guys may know, I don't really do that many Nintendo Let's Plays. Well, I don't personally do any. We have Spoony Kipper, who is doing a Zombie U, but obviously that's not owned by Nintendo, although it is on their console. But I really am against the company doing this, and there are a couple of reasons, really big ones. First of all, Nintendo aren't exactly best friends with gamers right now in terms of the next generation. What do I mean by this? Well, you have developers who left and right are coming up with comments such as, you know, the Wii U is underpowered, we can't get the Frostbite engine working, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. You guys know it by now. If not, you can check out the videos and on my channel, and you will be apprised of all the situation. But come on now, let's be honest. You, at this point, as Nintendo, need to get gamers on your side. Now, let's assume that I was a prolific Let's Player of videos. Let's just go with a random figure. Let's say that, on average, my, I don't know, Nintendo Let's Play, I can't think of an example, let's say, you know, Ocarina of Time, and let's say that, you know, the big YouTubers can get 50, 100,000 views, whatever. And let's say I was to get 50,000 views. And obviously there is a new HD remake of Zelda, okay, which obviously Spoony Kipper was actually going to be covering, and now he's no longer going to be doing so. Let's say that that was going to get 50,000 views. Obviously our channel doesn't typically get that, but let's assume for these purposes that, you know, we had a lot more subscribers, and let's assume that we were to get that number of views. And by the way, as I've said, a lot of channels do get this number of views, sometimes going to get a couple of 100,000 views. Right, let's assume that you do not own either this game or a Wii U in general. And then let's say that you are a regular viewer, and then therefore you start watching the video and you think, wow, this game looks really cool, I'm going to buy it. And I have to admit, I have done similar. I have looked at people's reviews, I have looked at their Let's Plays. In fact, that's one of the reasons that I actually bought Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It's also another reason I bought Just Cause 2. I'm not going to bother to go into the whole mess of the games, but there have certainly been a few games that I've played and I thought, watched, played, and I thought, I'd actually really like to get my hands on this thing, and I eventually have bought it. The problem is that with Nintendo doing this, well, already starting to get cries of people saying, well, okay, not doing Nintendo anymore. Why? Well, if you are someone who basically relies on a Let's Play to make you money, I'm not, I work, but obviously if, you know, the situation changed and our channel was making that significant amount of revenue, I would like to do the channel full time for you guys, because I'd like to be able to put out more videos and increase the content even better. But as I've said, our channel is not really geared specifically to Let's Plays. That's not to say we do not do the odd one, but as you guys may know, we are mostly about tech and news. However, some channels are about Let's Plays, and just as, say, yogs are about mostly Minecraft. Now, imagine if Minecraft, the creators of Minecraft, or what have you, were to start doing this to yogs. They would be pretty pissed, and I couldn't blame them. The bottom line is, again, let's say Yogscast, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with Yogs. They have inevitably been instrumental in some, I'm not saying by no means all, but some of the popularity of Minecraft. And I don't just mean Yogs, I mean anyone who is a prolific YouTuber or anyone who runs, say, a fan channel or whatever. And the same thing could be said for dozens of other games. One of the reasons for Halo's popularity, and I don't mean the only reason by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly one of the reasons for the popularity, is something like Red versus Blue. When you have these different fan-made projects, it gets people involved and it starts spreading on the love. You cannot just rely on the fans you've got. It really just doesn't make any sense to me. In fact, let's actually read the quote from Nintendo. As part of our ongoing push to ensure Nintendo content is shared across social media channels in an appropriate and safe way, we became YouTube partners, and as such, on February 2013, was registered our copyright content into the YouTube database. For most of our fans, this will not result in any changes. However, for those videos featuring Nintendo-owned content, such as images and audio of a certain length, adverts will now appear at the beginning, next to, or the end of your video clips. We'll continuously want our fans to enjoy sharing Nintendo content on YouTube, and that is why, unlike other entertainment companies, we have chosen not to block people using our intellectual property. That's great. I am glad they're not doing the copyright strike thing, because that's just stupid. But the problem is, it's, first of all, let's make a couple of assumptions. Let's say my channel was not doing what we do, or let's say your channel, whatever you do, is not doing what you do. Let's say that you upload music from, say, the old, 16-bit, 32-bit, and so on eras, okay? So that's what your channel is. I can understand them doing it for that, because you are not creating, you are not contributing, you are not doing anything. You are just literally uploading that audio. Now, obviously, if your channel can do that and you've managed to get away with it, more power to you. I'm not judging you. But I can understand Nintendo getting pissed on that, and I can understand them wanting a slice of your pie. You have not done anything to earn that content. You've just basically uploaded their stuff to your channel. That's not really that massive. On the other hand, if you are putting up very entertaining series, you are... And to be honest with you, I think most people who are watching certain Let's Plays by now, for example, I don't know, Zelda or Mario, you've probably played the game. That's not to say that all of you have. Some maybe have not. And the bottom line is, I think that a lot of people, they do watch the series for the purpose of the game storyline, to see it being played through, or maybe you are just stuck on a particular section of the game. Maybe you are stuck on, I don't know, a particular dungeon and you don't really know how to do it. I've done that a couple of times. I'll completely admit it's a hell of a lot easier than looking at game facts or whatever. You just look at a certain section and say, oh, okay, that's how you do it. Derp, I didn't see that lever. That is the legitimate way to play the game. But when you start sticking content ID claims on it just starts sending messages that, we are not a gamer's friend. And in my opinion, it's really silly. Sega have also been somewhat guilty of this as well, ironically. Sega have actually, shut down the Streets of Rage remake project, pretty much. I don't know the whole story behind it. I was just randomly Googling one day, because I was kind of curious what happened with the project. And as far as I understand it, the people who were behind it, they basically said, okay, to Sega, we want to remake the game, and they contacted them and so forth, and I don't know exactly what the situation was, but as far as I understand, they were given the go-ahead. Anyway, after that, Sega decided to re-release the Streets of Rage, I don't remember which version, I think it was 2, on a platform. I think it might have been like iOS or something. Anyway, they shortly after or shortly before decided to completely shut down the remake. In other words, they completely nuked this, team or guy's work or whatever. And I understand that, this is your intellectual property, but in my opinion, there has to be a certain amount of leeway. Just how, say, Valve give a certain amount of leeway to, let's say, the Half-Life series. These dudes have created Black Mesa, and Black Mesa is a fantastic project. Does it take anything away from Valve? Does it detract anything? No, because you have to buy Half-Life 1 or 2 anyway. At least Half-Life 2, and I believe a couple of the episodes to be able to play this game. And the same thing for various other fan-made projects. It just increases the level of love and shows that people really like your stuff. And quite honestly, it just boggles my mind. Now, I'm not an anti-Nintendo person, as you guys know. I don't dislike particularly any company, even EA, to be honest with you, which I know may shock some of you, but honestly speaking, I don't have a problem with EA. There are a couple of things that do annoy me about EA, primarily the fact that what they did to Bullfrog and so forth, but yeah, no, generally speaking, I think they're a pretty good developer. And most of their games, in my opinion, are of good quality. Same as Nintendo, I can't really fault their quality. But when they do stuff like this, it is not endearing themselves to gamers. It just pisses them off. Because, honestly speaking, if you are a Let's Player, you just won't do this. Another problem I have with this is it starts to set dangerous precedents with other channels. And I think that they need to start understanding that, yes, the press is very important. It's definitely very important to get your videos on IGN or your games covered by GameSpot or Game Informer or whatever. And I personally love reading, reviews from IGN and Game Informer and GameSpot and blah, blah, blah. And I get a lot of my news from these guys and various other leaked sources. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you have a great affinity. You really like one YouTuber. It could be my channel, it could be Yorkscast, it could be someone totally different. And you think to yourself, I really like this guy, I respect his opinion or her opinion, and I want to play this game because it looks really cool. And that's it, And the good content, the content that's fun, will shine through. It's that simple. And the community like this isn't really a good way to engender yourself, to endear yourself, and to promote yourself in the community. This is one of the benefits of, say, Blizzard, who have gotten really involved in the StarCraft thing. Another thing, let's say about Capcom, one of the reasons that a lot of Capcom fighting games have survived, especially, for example, Street Fighter, is because of the community around them. The combo videos that are up there and the fan-made remakes and the projects and stuff. There are so many stupid projects and Mugen and whatever else you can see across the internet. So many fan-made live-action sequences of, random crap that is, someone's filmed in their backyard. But it's entertaining, and Capcom actually link that stuff on their Facebook, or on their community. Same thing as they actually started now to employ guys like Combo Fiend into their organization. And that's very important to me, because when you start doing that, it really does bring a certain perspective that maybe you wouldn't have before. I'm not saying that Capcom are perfect. This is not, I don't like what they've done to some of the aspects of Resident Evil, for example. And that's not to say that games are perfectly balanced. There are issues with Street Fighter in terms of balance, but the fact is, with these live streams, it helps keep the community alive. It helps keep interest in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, interest in Street Fighter vs. Tekken, interest in the next Street Fighter, and that's one of the reasons that they're making Street Fighter for another patch, because people want it. And certainly people have been a bit upset with the fact that they actually charge for, say, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but, whatever. I'm not going to go into that. I think that might, some people dislike it, some people do like it, whatever. But the same thing could be said, of course, for Blizzard. I mean, look at Blizzard. StarCraft 2, one of the reasons that it's incredibly popular is because of all the shoutcasting that goes on, all of the tournaments that go on. Some of it is official Blizzard stuff, some of it is just, someone's organising a random tournament. But the fact is, it just goes ahead and promotes the game. And I am awful at StarCraft. I am really bad. I don't know any build orders or anything else. But I look at these pros playing it, and I thought to myself, I want to learn. And I really haven't had time. But every time I see these guys, it really pushes me to want to start learning the game. And honestly, if I wasn't so bloody busy with RGT and work and everything else that I've got going on, I probably would be extremely active in the Street Fighter community and StarCraft community. That's just me personally. My point being that when you start really supporting your fans and giving them a platform to start shouting your content, it really just makes you a more successful company. Now, obviously, you have to protect your intellectual property to a degree. No one is saying that Nintendo should allow, a random company to put, games on, say, iPhone that are charging like $1.99 and are basically rip-offs of, say, Super Mario. That's obviously not cool. Same thing could, as I've said earlier, if I randomly start filming all of the extras or something for that, for all the Mario games, and that's all they've done. You can kind of understand the content match on there. If I do all the music, understand the content match on there. It's not really gaining anything. But when someone's putting the hard work into actually creating a Let's Play and trying to spread, your content around, I don't really get it. And in my opinion, it's just harming your company. Another point of contention I have against this whole measure is it doesn't do Nintendo any favours in terms of helping them, move to a bigger audience. Now, one of the issues that Nintendo are having, as we discussed earlier, is the fact that their system, many are conceiving to be, or perceiving, shall I say, to be underpowered. The bottom line is, compared to the next generation PlayStation 4 and Xbox, the bottom line is the Wii U graphics are going to underperform. And the issue with this, in terms of selling games, is simple. It's very, very hard to shift games with a few screenshots at the back of a box. It really is. You can have all the cool, flashy, front cover you want, but in reality, a lot of people just turn it over, look at the screenshots, and say, now who does this? I know obviously many of you guys are informed, but a lot of people aren't, is how it comes down to. And a lot of people are either buying for their kids, or they're not sure what system to buy, and so on. And so therefore, they have to take these things at face value. That's one of the reasons why crappy games have great graphics, but they still sell well, because the bottom line is, graphics are very, very, very easy to use as a selling point, as a marketing point. That's one of the reasons that even Colonial Marines sold pretty well, despite the fact that it had more bugs in it than pretty much any game I think I've ever played. Maybe a few indie games have more, but that's just the cold, harsh reality of it. And honestly speaking, Let's Plays, fan-made reviews, help, walkthroughs, whatever you want to think of, which basically fits under this category, just help to promote your game. It isn't a case where you want to be this mysterious entity that no one really knows how they work or what games. You have to make it obvious. For example, let's say you have a party of, say, 2 or 3 people around, including yourself, of course, 3 or 4 players, on Mario, or Mario Kart or whatever. Imagine that. People will see the fun that you are having and think, oh, I want a part of that. I've got friends that would really love this as well. I definitely will pick this up so that I can play this game with them. Same thing, of course, for Smash Brothers Melee or New Zelda or whatever. You look at the games and you think, okay, cool, I want a part of this, and then you will therefore go pick it up. If you are, on the other hand, basically hiding your audience away from this in terms of, apart from official gaming channels, you're just limiting your sales and marketing approach, in my personal opinion. Anyway, I'm going to get going because I don't really think there's much more I need to say on this particular little rant. I'm interested to hear your guys' perspective. So take care and bye for now.